He never imagined silence could hurt more than shouting. For 3 years, silence had been their comfort. The kind that settled gently between two people who didn't need constant words to feel close. Late night drives with the windows down. Shared meals eaten off mismatched plates. Her bare feet tucked under his thigh while they watched shows they barely followed. Silence had been home. Until the night it became a warning. Ethan noticed it first in the pauses. The way her replies came a second too late. The way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. How her phone, once casually left face up on the coffee table, was now always locked, always close, always turned away. He told himself not to overthink. Love, after all, required trust. And Ethan trusted Maya. Or at least, he trusted the version of her he had fallen in love with. The woman who laughed too loudly at bad jokes, who cried during documentaries about strangers, who once drove across town at 2 a.m. just to sit with him when his father passed away. That woman wouldn't betray him. Would she? The doubt crept in slowly, like water seeping through cracks you didn't know were there. It came during dinner when she laughed at a text message and tilted her phone away instinctively. During weekends when she suddenly needed space. During nights when she lay beside him but felt miles away. "Everything okay?" he asked one evening, trying to keep his voice light. "Yeah," she said quickly. Too quickly. "Just tired." He nodded. Always nodding. Always understanding. That was Ethan, the man who gave the benefit of the doubt even when it cut him. But the human heart knows before the mind accepts. The night everything changed began like any other. Rain tapped softly against the windows. The apartment smelled like garlic and basil. Ethan stood at the stove, stirring pasta, listening to Maya hum in the shower. It felt almost normal, dangerously so. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Once. Twice. Again. Ethan didn't look at it. He wasn't that guy. He believed privacy was sacred. Trust was non-negotiable. Then the screen lit up. A name he didn't recognize. And a message preview that froze him in place. "I miss what we did last night." The spoon slipped from his hand and clattered into the sink. His first instinct was denial. Maybe he read it wrong. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe there was a perfectly innocent explanation that his anxious mind was twisting into something ugly. But his hands were already shaking. The phone buzzed again. "When can I see you again?" Ethan stared at the glowing screen as if it might change if he waited long enough. It didn't. His chest tightened, breath turning shallow. A strange calm washed over him, the kind that arrives right before something breaks completely. Maya walked out of the bathroom moments later, hair wrapped in a towel, skin warm and familiar. She smiled when she saw him. "You okay?" she asked. "You look pale." He picked up her phone and held it out silently. The smile vanished. Time stretched. The rain grew louder. The world narrowed to the space between them. "Ethan, she started, then stopped. "Don't," he said quietly. His voice didn't sound like his own. "Just, don't." She swallowed. Her eyes darted to the phone, then back to him. There was guilt there. Fear. But something else too. Defensiveness. "How long?" he asked. She exhaled sharply, frustration flickering across her face. "Does it matter?" That was the moment something inside him cracked. "Yes," he said, softly. "It matters to me." She crossed her arms, the towel loosening slightly but neither of them noticing. A few months. A few months. While he planned weekends. While he talked about the future. While he chose her every single day. "And last night?" he asked. She looked away. That answer was enough. Ethan nodded slowly, absorbing the blow inch by inch. He waited for the anger to come. For the shouting. For the urge to throw something, to say Something cruel that might make the pain feel more balanced. None of it came. Instead, there was just sadness. Raw, heavy, bone-deep sadness. Why? He asked. Not accusing. Not loud. Just a genuine question from a man who loved deeply. She shrugged. I felt neglected. You're always so calm, so understanding. I wanted to feel wanted. Excited. He almost laughed at the irony. I loved you, he said simply. I know, she replied. But love isn't always enough. She said it like a line she'd rehearsed. Something shifted then. Not in her, in him. Ethan realized, in that moment, that the woman standing in front of him wasn't the one he'd fallen in love with. Or maybe she was, and he had just chosen not to see the parts of her that could do this. Either way, the truth was clear. This was over. He handed her the phone back gently, like it might shatter if he wasn't careful. I'm done, he said. Her head snapped up. What? I'm ending this, he repeated calmly. I won't compete for someone who chose to betray me. She scoffed, a flash of irritation crossing her face. So that's it? 3 years and you just walk away? He met her gaze, eyes steady despite the storm raging inside. You walked away first. I'm just acknowledging it. She stared at him, clearly expecting more. Anger. Begging. Accusations. Anything but this quiet dignity. You're really not going to fight for me, she asked, incredulous. No, he said. I'm going to fight for myself. For the first time, she looked unsure. He turned off the stove, drained the pasta, and set it aside, a meal that would never be eaten together. Then he walked to the bedroom and began packing a bag. Each folded shirt felt like a goodbye. Each step through the apartment echoed with memories, laughter, arguments, whispered promises. Maya followed him, words tumbling out now. Ethan, wait. We can talk about this. People make mistakes. He zipped the bag slowly. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. Cheating is a choice. Horror. Voice cracked. You're really leaving? He paused at the door, hand on the handle. He looked at her, really looked, and felt the love still there, aching and stubborn. And then he did something she never expected. He smiled. Not happily. Not coldly. But gently. I hope you find what you're looking for, he said. Truly. She blinked, stunned. And I hope someday, he added, you understand what you lost. Then he walked out into the rain. Each step hurt. Each breath burned. But beneath the pain, there was something else growing quietly. Relief. Because for the first time in months, his heart wasn't lying to itself anymore. He didn't know yet that this wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something far more powerful. The rain didn't stop when Ethan left. It soaked through his jacket, his hair, his thoughts. Each step away from the apartment felt heavier than the last, as if the city itself were trying to pull him back. He didn't know where he was going. He only knew where he couldn't stay. By the time he reached his car, his hands were trembling, not from the cold, but from everything he had been holding in for months. He sat behind the wheel, forehead resting against it, and finally let himself breathe. Not cry. Just breathe. Love doesn't vanish the moment it's betrayed. It lingers. It aches. It asks questions that never get answered. He drove to his sister's place that night. She didn't ask questions. She just opened the door, pulled him into a hug, and let him exist in silence, the good kind, the healing kind. Days passed. Then weeks. The world kept moving, even though Ethan felt like he was walking through water. He went to work. He answered emails. He smiled when required. But at night, when the noise faded, memories crept in. Maya's laugh. Her hand in his. The way she used to say his name like it meant something. What hurt most wasn't just the cheating. It was how easily she had justified it. One evening, while cleaning out old emails, Ethan found something unexpected. A confirmation receipt, a deposit for a small art studio. Her dream. Something she had talked about for years but never believed she could afford. He remembered that day clearly. She'd come home discouraged, saying, "I'll never be brave enough." He had smiled and said, "You already are." What Maya never knew was that Ethan had quietly paid the deposit weeks before discovering the affair. It was meant to be a surprise. A belief turned into action. His chest tightened as he stared at the screen. The money was non-refundable. For a moment, bitterness flickered. Fate had a cruel sense of timing. He could cancel everything else. The shared streaming accounts, the phone plan, the memories, but not this. Then a choice presented itself. And this time, Ethan chose kindness. He emailed the studio owner and transferred the contract fully into Maya's name. No conditions. No message attached. Just a silent gift from a man she had already lost. Meanwhile, Maya's world was unraveling. The man she'd cheated with disappeared as quickly as he'd arrived. Excitement, it turned out, had a short lifespan. Friends stopped inviting her out once the truth came out. Even her own justifications began to sound hollow in the quiet of her apartment. Then she received the email. Her name. The studio. Paid in full. Her hands shook as she reread it. It didn't make sense. She called the studio. They confirmed everything. The deposit. The contract. The transfer. All done by Ethan. Her chest tightened in a way she hadn't felt since the night he walked out. She showed up at the studio address without thinking. It was small but perfect. Sunlit windows, wooden floors, a blank space waiting to be filled. This was her dream. And it had been handed to her by the man she betrayed. That night, she sat alone on the floor and cried, not the dramatic tears she'd shed when she got caught, but the quiet, aching kind that come with regret. She finally understood. Ethan didn't leave because he didn't love her. He left because he loved himself more. Weeks later, fate crossed their paths one final time. They ran into each other at a cafe. The kind of coincidence that only happens when you've stopped looking. Maya froze when she saw him. Ethan noticed her hesitation and offered a polite nod. Nothing more. But she couldn't let it end that way. "Ethan," she said softly. He turned. "I got the studio," she continued, voice shaking. "I know it was you." He nodded. "It was something I'd already done." "Why?" she asked, eyes wet. "After everything, why would you do that for me?" He paused, considering his words carefully. "Because loving someone doesn't turn ugly just because it ends," he said. "And because I didn't want to walk away angry." Tears spilled freely now. "I don't deserve that." "I know," he replied gently. "But you deserved the dream." She looked at him, really looked, and realized something that would stay with her forever. She hadn't just lost a boyfriend. She had lost a rare kind of man. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Truly." "I know," Ethan said. And for the first time, he meant it. They went their separate ways after that. No promises. No hope of reunion. Just closure. Months later, Ethan stood on a beach at sunset, waves brushing his feet, peace settling where pain once lived. He had learned something powerful: that kindness isn't weakness, and walking away with dignity is the bravest thing a heart can do. Maya opened her studio that same month. On the wall near the entrance hung a small frame. Inside it was a single sentence, handwritten. "Some people love you enough to let you go." And every time she read it, she remembered the man who showed her that real strength doesn't shout. It simply walks away.